Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there lived a princess with a YouTube channel. And although she had everything her heart desired, she still was sad. She had never been to Disneyland, you see, the happiest place on earth. So early one morning before the cock crowed, she kissed her Prince Charming goodbye and called her pumpkin carriage to take her to... Namaskar, hello, thank you so much for joining me today on my solo day trip from London to Disneyland Paris. I feel like I've gone back, how many? Probably 30 odd years. I shouldn't have gone for this ride. I think I fell asleep. How did that go? The plan is pretty clear. I took the 647 Eurostar from London St. Pancras going to Lille. It's going to reach in an hour and 40 minutes. I have to spend about an hour and a half in Lille and then catch an SNCF train to Disneyland Paris. That'll take an hour and 10 minutes, and I believe the station is right next to the park. So by midday I should reach Disneyland, spend a good 6 hours there, and my train back is at 10 to 7 in the evening from Disneyland. Once again, I have about an hour stopover in Lille before I reach London at 9:30. Okay guys, I've reached France now. I'm in Lille, hence the beret. How do you like my beret? I have got an hour and a half to kill here. My intention was to just sit in the train station and start my video editing. I've been to Lille before. In fact, I've transited through Lille before, so I don't really need to go to city center and do sightseeing this time. But it's biting cold outside and the station area is not heated. There's a huge shopping mall just next to the station. It's Lille and it's owned by Westfield now. It looks like a carbon copy of the Westfield I have close to my home. But I just can't be bothered to walk anywhere else. Ideally, I would have loved to sit in a French style cafe and talk to you about this trip and why I decided to do it alone and in a day's time. I know this is probably not the ideal place, but we'll make do with whatever we have. So I grew up in the 80s in India, and back then we used to have only Doordarshan, the national broadcaster. Every Sunday morning they used to telecast programs for kids, and one of the popular ones was of course the Tales of Mickey and Donald. I don't remember if that was the title, but they used to show Disney cartoons, and I say cartoons and not animation because somehow I'm more comfortable with the word cartoon. I find it more endearing. So anyway, so that was when I was really inducted into the world of Disney, and I was fascinated. My favorite Disney character is in fact Donald Duck, but I'll show you something interesting. See, I'm fully prepared for this trip, and don't worry, I have not bought this sweater for this trip. I've been through the phase of buying new clothes for trips. Not anymore. I'd like to save the planet. This one I had for the last few years. I told you I love Disney. I've got a few Disney character clothes in my wardrobe. So anyway, I'm digressing again. Now, I've always wanted to visit Disneyland. I love Paris. So at least twice in a year I go to Paris, but somehow Disneyland has never really been part of my trip. The first time I visited Paris was when I was very young with my parents, but I'm so old that Euro Disney did not exist at that time. Vikram, on the other hand, he has been to quite a few Disneylands. In his past life, he spent a few years in LA, and I know he visited Disneyland on at least 2 different occasions at least. A couple of years ago, his company organized a work retreat in Disneyland Paris. Can you imagine a few days in Disneyland Paris, all expenses paid? And in fact, last year, his company took him to, what's it called, Orlando. I can't remember if there's a Disneyland in Orlando, but I know there are several amusement parks and he has been to pretty much all of them. In fact, he got this earring for me from Orlando. This is a Minnie Mouse earring. I don't know if you can make out the two ears, and this is Minnie's face. So I've got Minnie all over me. So Vikram has had his share of Disney experience. In all fairness, he did offer many times to take me to Disneyland, but I chickened out. The reason being that the tickets are so expensive. I just honestly did not think, and I still do not think it's worth it, especially since he's not crazy about Disney characters. But I wanted to experience it myself, even if it's for a few hours. The way my work works, I'm a doctor, you know, so I work several weekends, but in lieu I do get some random days off in the middle of a week. Today is 11th of February, it's a Wednesday, so today and tomorrow are my days off. I checked online and I found out that most schools are still open, which means this should be an off-peak season for Disneyland. It's still winter, so it's generally an off-peak travel time for Central Europe anyway, and we all know that middle of a week, Wednesdays, everything is cheaper, transportation, accommodation, everything. So my plan initially was to go to Disneyland, take a train at a more civil time, a train which would grant me a few good hours of good night's rest, and then stay tonight in one of the Disneyland resort hotels and come back tomorrow. But the hotels are so expensive, even on a Wednesday night for one person. I did not think it's worth it, especially since I have got severe motion sickness. So a lot of rides will be out of bound for me anyway. Yes, I want to go to Disneyland. I want to tick that off my bucket list, but I also don't want to spend a fortune on it. So I looked for train times from London to Disneyland and back in a day. There are some direct trains from London to St. Pancras, but they are not catered towards day trip travelers, and they are less frequent in off-peak season. This is the best I could do, honestly. The other alternative was to go to Paris and take a local train from Paris to Disneyland, which is also doable. But if I visit Paris with all my love and passion for the city, I will feel obliged to do a little bit of shopping, have al fresco dining, sit with a glass of wine and watch the Eiffel Tower. One thing will lead to another and I'll skip Disneyland altogether. So yeah, this was a good deal. I still have about an hour to spend here. I really am not much hungry, but I got myself some breakfast only to kill the time. And I'll see you in the next train, this train from Lille to Disneyland Paris. Oh my goodness, this is magical. This is sheer magic, guys. I feel like I've gone back probably 30 odd years. See, whatever little skepticism I had about coming here on my own is now completely gone. I have no doubt that I'm going to have a grand time here. Oops. This is just something I forgot to do. I need to take my motion sickness tablet first. Right, I'm now in Disneyland Park. It's amazing. I can't explain the feeling in words. So this entire Disneyland Paris resort has two different parks, the Walt Disney Park and the Disneyland Park, and you can either buy tickets for both of them or individual ones. I only have a few hours, as you guys know, so I got tickets for Disneyland Park only because most of the rides and attractions here are the ones that I'd like to visit anyway. In addition to the ticket, I also got myself something called Fast Pass. I need to get it from here. It entitles me to priority access to different rides. So they have two different varieties of Fast Pass, which obviously costs extra, and you have to book the Fast Pass up to, I think, 48 hours before your date of travel. After booking the tickets, I was specifically instructed to take printouts. Disneyland Paris does have an app. I had downloaded the app. The app has map of the resort. You can make your wish list of rides. You can also book tickets, but you cannot have soft copies of tickets. You cannot have online tickets, and it seems ridiculous in this day and age. Who gets printouts? So now I have to take this to the ticket counter in order to get a badge or wristband or something of that sort. That's a bit silly, don't you think? Anyway, let's go and get there.
Okay, you speak English?
Yes.
You need to send it to me better because this is not very good. There's no name, there's nothing on this.
Okay, alright. Which one? The fast pass or the...
No, the ticket you keep, just the fast pass.
Just the fast. I'll send it to you now then. Woo-hoo-hoo. And I am in Disneyland Paris. I've got my fast pass band, as you can see. So let the magic begin. I need to get on that bus. How do I catch this bus? Oh, that's a major FOMO moment happening for me now. Guys, I'm going to my first ride, the Big Thunder Mountain. The waiting time is 45 minutes, but with the fast pass priority access, I can just walk in. Wish me luck. That was exciting. I'm all pumped up for my second ride, which is going to be Indiana Jones and the Temple of Peril. The general queuing time is 15 minutes. With my fast pass entry, I intend to be there in a few seconds. I shouldn't have gone for this ride. I'm sure it's very thrilling for a lot of people, but I feel miserable. At some point I felt like I'd throw up on my co-passenger. I need to sit down. I need a break. So I feel slightly better, and I'm going to go for Peter Pan's flight now, which also has a fast pass entrance. Let's just pray it's going to be kinder to my brain because my head is still spinning a bit. Well, that wasn't too bad. I also realized that I should only be taking the rides that are meant for 2-year-olds. What do I have in front? Meet Mickey Mouse? Ooh, Mickey! That's exciting. Let's go and meet him.
C'est un chien très gentil, monsieur.
The adventure isn't over for me yet, guys. I'm now ready for the next ride, which is Star Wars Hyperspace. Star Wars, the series with Harrison Ford and his half animal, half man friend called Chewie, and Harrison's son kills him, and there's a very fit girl and someone who wears a mask. Is that it? Or is it the other one? I think I'm right. Am I?
Pilote, nous avons repéré un destroyer stellaire près de Jakku.
Tous les appareils parés à passer en hyperespace à mon commandement. On y va!
How did that go? Honestly, I don't have much idea. A few seconds into the ride, I realized that if I'm not careful, I'm going to fall seriously sick. And my head was constantly bobbling, and there were a lot of flashy lights too. So I just, I know it's embarrassing, but I had to keep my eyes shut, and I tightly kept my head against the headrest. Also, I had forgotten to take my beret off, my fancy precious beret, and I was afraid that I'll lose it in the tunnel somewhere. But yeah, the music was nice. It was soundtrack from the movie. I'm pretty certain that Star Wars lovers will enjoy this. For the few fraction of seconds that I had kept my eyes open, I could see, what are those, galaxies, stars. I think there were various bits and pieces from the cinema. My plan was to next go for the starters, because it's included with my fast pass, and I did pay a lot of money for this. But thankfully, I chanced upon the notice that's displayed right outside, and they have clearly mentioned that it's a very turbulent ride. There will be many sharp drops and dips, and it is not for people with severe motion sickness. So even though on this trip I have really stretched myself and extended myself, and Vikram will attest to that, he knows that for the last many years, at least in the last 2 decades, I haven't gone on any ride, even the simplest Ferris wheel or carousel. I have avoided them. With age, somehow my motion sickness is getting worse. I thought I should maybe try this one too, but I don't want to fall sick here. I have to go back to London to my Prince Charming. So instead of trying these out, let's, as I said before, find out rides that are meant for 2-year-olds. This probably is going to be my last ride, the Phantom Manor.
Perhaps you sense a disquieting metamorphosis.
The floor is moving. We are going down. That must have been a great ride, but you know what? I think I fell asleep. You can't blame me. I hardly slept last night. I think I had 4 hours worth of sleep. I'm really exhausted, and it was quite nice and cool and dark in there. Which reminds me, my train is due in about half an hour. So I'll make my way towards the train station, but please don't leave me now, because I have lots to say about Disneyland Paris and my trip and hints and tips, etc. So just hang in there for a few more seconds, please. Right, I'm back to Lille now, and I am so glad I did this. And I still stick to my words. I think it was a good idea not to bring Vikram along because, as I explained, he has already been to lots of Disneylands and he's not crazy about the characters anyway, and it's so expensive, so it made total economical sense to leave him out. Sorry babe, I love you, but you know, I'm sure you agree with me too. Also, I think it was smart of me not to stay back tonight. Whatever time I spent in Disneyland, that was just optimum. Anything more than that would have been excessive for me. However, please note that the park itself wasn't really very crowded today. What I've heard is that during summer months when schools are closed, it's just a manic situation and people have to queue up for hours. In spite of being off-peak today, to get photographed with Mickey, I had to wait in a queue for an hour. So you can understand how things are going to be in summer. And also I had the fast pass. You can save a lot of time by going for it. If you're a solo traveler, however, some of the bigger rides have separate lines for single travelers. However, they were all non-operational today, possibly because it's off-peak. I'm going to give you a breakdown of the cost. I can't remember the prices of each on the top of my head. The train tickets, I booked them in advance. Then the entrance ticket to the park, once again, I booked it as advanced and I got off-peak rates. Fast pass also, you have to book it in advance anyway, and I believe in off-peak season it's cheaper. The other thing that I purchased that you cannot buy online, you have to buy it from the park, from the shops, is something called photo pass. So basically, you know, there are many official photographers in Disneyland, photographers who take pictures of you with the characters, and sometimes you have pictures in the rides too. So with a photo pass, you can get them easily. If you have your mobile with you, you can download the Disneyland Photo Pass app and you can get all those pictures into your device almost within an hour. If you don't want to go down the app route, then you can download them from a website too. It's quite pricey, to be honest, and I bought it in a whim. I may have done without it, if I'm very honest with you, because the photographers also will take photographs with your own device, so they're not going to say no to photographing you with your camera or mobile phone. But I just thought that I'm traveling alone, there's no one to take my picture, I might as well get it done. I just felt like splurging, and to be honest, I did not eat, I did not drink, I did not spend a single penny on anything else in Disneyland. I did not buy anything, so probably, anyway, that's a cost that I maybe could have done without. So the good thing about Disneyland, of course, it's a great place, it's the happiest place. It's something that there is something about Disneyland. There is an aura of happiness, celebration, exuberance. It's very difficult to describe in words. In fact, when I was just about to enter the park, for a couple of seconds I felt that I would cry, because I don't know, it just felt like I've gone back to my childhood. So of course, it's a very nice place to be in. It's a place for enjoyment. It's very, very disabled friendly. They have an app. It has got a fairly comprehensive map of the park with all the attractions. It shows your location and it will tell you the direction to your required attraction. You can make your own wish list. That's fine, but what it misses is that there's no mention of the toilets and drinking water facilities, which I found to be weird. I did find two toilets, one was near Phantom Manor and the other one was near Pirates of Caribbean. And then there was a drinking water fountain next to the Thunder Mountain. But I think this information should be integral to the Disneyland app. Also, you can buy your tickets and fast pass through the app, but you can't have soft copies of those tickets in the app. It's just silly. Why will someone in this day and age need a paper copy of a ticket and a card? PhotoPass is a card. It's not even a paper copy. I mean, why do you need it? And I've got 100 lanyards at home from all the conferences Vikram and I attend. I don't need another lanyard. But I guess that may serve as a souvenir to a few. In fact, I haven't bought any souvenirs. I could keep it as a keepsake. The other thing that was a little disappointing and honestly a bit annoying for me was that I was not allowed to use my tripod. So they have a rule, you cannot use selfie sticks in the park, which probably makes sense because very few people have civic sense anyway. And in a crowded place, there's always a risk of someone getting injured. But mine is not a selfie stick, it's a tripod, and without it, my photography and videography options are honestly limited. I did the best I could with whatever resources I had, and I hope you liked it. I hope this was useful. If you have any plan, any sort of idea, any desire, or any kind of a thought in the back of your mind about going to Disneyland on your own, do it. It's fine, it's great, you're going to be fine. But my advice would be to avoid the peak times. I hope that makes sense, and I hope I have pretty much answered whatever questions you had in mind. But if you have more, please feel free to ask. Just leave your question in the comment box, I'll be happy to answer it. And subscribe. Bye.